For millions of kids and parents, Fortnite is just a video game. For kids, it's a place to kick back and relax and have some fun after school. Put on your headset, have a laugh with friends, and find some escape through a few battle royales. But unfortunately, lurking beneath the surface of that game are some dark secrets. Because the same place where kids are getting together to have fun, people are lurking, using the game as a cover to reach out to unsuspecting
The popular video game Fortnite is a key element in the case. Florida's Attorney General says the 41-year-old contacted through the game, and there could be as many as 20 other victims.
And these people that are lurking in Fortnite are incredibly savvy when it comes to luring into their web. It might start as a friendly voice in a game lobby, someone pretending to be a friend.
Do you know how old she is?
No, I met her on Fortnite, sir.
Tell me.
She's years old. I made sure she got home safe. Pretty much the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, as everybody says.
Sometimes it's somebody that's willing to listen as a troubled child talks about their loneliness at home, the struggles of growing up, or feeling invisible. That's what happened in Florida with Anthony Jean Thomas.
It started on the popular game Fortnite. Thomas and his 23-year-old girlfriend befriending a girl who was playing the game.
In one twisted case in Wisconsin, Zachary Vogt had traveled across the country and ended up living in his victim's closet.
In SF's room, they find a black machete, some of Zach's tank tops, his diploma, Xbox, and Blu-ray player.
More recently, there's been the high-profile case of the singer David, who met his victim Celeste Rivas Hernandez through Fortnite, with the two eventually getting into a relationship, ending in her murder after her body was found in the front trunk of his Tesla.
Fortnite is now offering refunds for in-game items linked to David. Was arrested this month. He's charged with first-degree murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez.
But beyond America, in 2025, France would be shaken when Luis LaSalle would be found dead, and the case again linked to Fortnite. In this video, we'll be exposing exactly how people are using Fortnite to unsuspecting victims, and some of the most tragic and heartbreaking cases where these predators successfully used Fortnite to creep their way into real lives. This isn't going to be a video that blames Fortnite or the games. Fortnite didn't create these, but what it did do is accidentally create one of the most effective pipelines for people to meet children that the world has ever seen.
Over the internet, over these gaming systems, what privacy information, don't give their names, don't give their addresses, don't give their schools they go to. Watch what you put out on there.
And in this video, we'll be targeting this terrifying network of predators hiding in plain sight right in the middle of your battle royales. Content warning. This video is about a sensitive topic involving violence, assault, and loss of life. We've removed any graphic or descriptive content to comply with YouTube's guidelines. The aim of this video is to provide informative, factual journalism on tragic events in the public interest that does not dismiss its seriousness. All clips shown are under the doctrine of fair use for news reporting and analysis, and some points made in this video are simply opinions and theories. I'm not responsible for third-party information, and this video is being made purely for artistic, educational, documentary, and scientific purposes. If you want to watch my videos uncut and extended, go to patreon.com/traplawross, where you can get those for just $2. Also, you can now watch my new drops on Spotify, so go search me there. Here's the video. Long before Fortnite became intertwined with chilling criminal investigations, it had already captured the minds and hearts of an entire generation. Epic Games launched Fortnite's free Battle Royale mode in 2017, with 100 players being dropped into a single island to hunt each other down until only one survived. Unlike darker shooters, based on real-life violence like Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty, the developers of Fortnite wrapped the entire game in a bright, bloodless art style filled with toy-like weapons and viral dances, creating a shoot-'em-up game that could still appeal and be marketed towards children. By August 2018, Fortnite had exploded to 78.3 million players actively playing in a single month. By then, more than 6 in 10 teenagers in the United States had played the game, with half even saying they used it as their primary tool to stay connected with friends. Moreover, over a quarter admitted to playing Fortnite during class, but also 1 in 3 players would claim that they encountered harassment while chatting with other players in the game. Furthermore, nearly half of all teenagers admitted that they had made a new friend while playing online. However, not everyone lurking in these game lobbies had innocent intentions. That same month that Fortnite reached a record-breaking 78 million players, a 16-year-old girl in Brevard County, Florida became the target of a sophisticated trap, and unfortunately this wasn't the work of a lone person. The first move came from a 23-year-old named Stephanie Miller, whom 40-year-old Anthony Thomas had originally met to target others. To start the process, Stephanie used Fortnite's live voice chat to screen players and identify vulnerable Furthermore, she pretended to be a regular female gamer to build a trusted big sister bond with the that were being targeted. During their sessions, she would listen closely as the victim shared hardships that they'd experienced at home. Consequently, investigators report that this plan worked so effectively that one girl messaged Stephanie saying, "You were like the bigger sister I always wanted. My sister did nothing but bully and pick on me." And once trust was secured, Stephanie would introduce Anthony Thomas. Because she was vouching for him, this made Thomas seem like a safe friend rather than a dangerous online stranger. After this, Thomas would provide gifts, including 2 credit cards and an iPhone, to secretly communicate. Subsequently, they would encourage the victim to hide interactions, isolating her from anyone who could have protected her. But tragically, the stranger danger online would soon turn into a real-life danger on August the 25th, 2018. Under the guise of protection, the duo convinced the girl that running away with them would be a safe escape from their family. That night, they would drive 3 hours to her home, picking her up and returning to Thomas's Tamarack residence, while her parents had reported her missing.
When he allegedly drove all the way to Central Florida to pick up the and bring her to his house here in Tamarack.
The following morning, law enforcement would locate the girl inside Thomas's home, delivering her back to her parents. Naturally, many people questioned why Thomas wasn't immediately jailed. At the time, he claimed that he was helping the girl escape her difficult home life, and deputies didn't yet have concrete proof that had taken place, nor the full digital evidence of that had occurred.
Detectives caught on after the parents reported her missing, a deputy spotting her and bringing her in for questioning. Both Thomas and the victim denied having a relationship, but their phones told a different story.
So immediately after returning the victim to her family, Thomas would continue communicating with them. Phone records would show messages from August the 27th to October the 11th, including messages sent through an app on her own mother's phone. Within 2 weeks of this, investigators obtained a search warrant and discovered a horrific archive of 22 illegal images and videos. Following this discovery, Thomas would be arrested on January the 17th, 2019, being charged with multiple felonies. Furthermore, the Florida Attorney General's office reported there could be as many as 20 additional victims.
And this is Lagos de Campo Boulevard. We're just off of University Drive. This is where neighbors say they saw this man be taken into custody this morning. Tonight he is in jail. He's not going anywhere, but police fear there may be more victims.
Fortnite? I have a 8-year-old that plays that game.
However, court records indicate that 6 years later, in 2025, Anthony Thomas was released on probation and back onto the streets, as well as the servers of Fortnite. And while it's unclear if Stephanie Miller was ever convicted of her role in this alleged scandal, this dark exploit of vulnerable Fortnite players would create a dangerous pattern of exploitation that would play out time and time again. Perhaps one of the most famous and recent examples of Fortnite involves a young girl named Celeste. Before David Anthony Burke became a rising musician turned alleged murderer, his life was defined by strict boundaries and isolation. One of David's escapes was playing the video game Fortnite when he was a kid too. David grew up in a household in Queens, New York, where his parents Colleen and Dawood Burke would filter out the outside world entirely in favor of their intense focus on religion. Consequently, mainstream music and modern culture were completely off limits for David, leaving him with only gospel, choir music, and classical compositions in his media diet.
She's always been this person that's wanted us to be very, very intelligent and smart. Everything we played in the house, music-wise, was just Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, gospel music, like classical stuff, Lady Gaga, and all the popular artists everybody was listening to. We never could listen to that because my parents just wouldn't let us.
But despite these restrictions, or perhaps because of them, as years went by, David himself would become fixated on horrific and dark imagery and themes. He would claim himself in messages on Discord that he was obsessed with watching online growing up, and he would also begin writing poetry in the 3rd grade that was apparently so dark that it frightened his teachers. Apparently the turning point for his family came in middle school when he heard the song Gucci Gang by Lil Pump for the first time. David would later describe this like eating the first candy bar of his whole life, suddenly discovering a whole new flavor, opening his eyes to a whole new world of creativity. Apparently from here, David began living a double life. Because his parents were checking his phone weekly, he would have to become a master of hiding his digital footprint, something he clearly didn't get that good at in the end.
Did your parents put sort of a cap on what you could and couldn't listen to in the
Nah,
house?
I was sneaking
It wasn't
around.
like that.
I had this little iPod. I used to sneak. I got it with me right now too. I still got these from the OG days. It's all broken up. But I used to sneak around with the iPod Touch. I used to sneak around with the iPod Touch and download things off iTunes and stuff like that all the time.
Why do you carry that around?
It's just like I love nostalgia. I love just like having it around, bro.
Anyway, his traditional and sheltered childhood would end abruptly after the 7th grade when his family moved from New York to Houston, Texas, and removed him from public school for homeschooling.
Why did you move to Houston?
My dad's job. He was at a law firm in New York, and then they moved him to Houston. To move from New York, it wasn't that bad because I hated New York at that point. Like,
why did you
I didn't
hate
like
it?
my school. I was at a private
school.
school, and they treated me so horribly, dude.
Why?
It was insane. I don't know. All the teachers had it out for me. My little brother could testify to that too. Dude, they just had it out for me all the time. I don't know what it was. I would just do nothing to nobody, and the teachers would just pick on me and bully me for no reason, bro. I wanted to leave that place so bad. So bad.
For reasons that are still not entirely clear, David's parents chose to completely isolate him from other kids.
The decision to move from public schooling to homeschooling a difficult one?
It was, and it wasn't mine, it was my parents. But, you know, I thank them for it because I got so many creative outlets out of that. Like, I was writing more, I was playing video games more.
With his physical freedom severely limited, David was locked at home with unrestricted use to the internet. Left alone online, he would begin living vicariously through others, apparently hanging out with older strangers on Fortnite, absorbing their life stories and heartbreak, and borrowing their perspective in songs that he was writing.
It was the ability to find new people and make friends online. Like with Fortnite, I remember I found so many cool people just from that game. These adults and like these teenagers and people that were going through different situations, and they would just vent to you on the game. And I'm like 15, 14 at this time. I'm like, wow, this is really what humans are like. Like, these are humans. So I could just portray that and project that into the music.
Eventually, his primary outlet became the game Fortnite, and while making compilation videos of the game that he was in love with, he would begin creating original music to score his gaming compilations.
It wasn't even supposed to happen.
What was the original plan?
I was gonna try to be like a professional gamer. I was making a good amount of money off YouTube. It was like, you have to have a trending song in your video or it won't go. I treated Fortnite like it was a movie, like I was soundtracking like a TV show or something. I'd make a montage, then I'd make a song for it.
But unfortunately, while David was able to turn conversations with adults on Fortnite into inspiration for his music career, it would also allegedly be through that very game, Fortnite, that David allegedly encountered his first victim. Investigators believe that David connected with Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a girl from Lake Elsinore, California, in January of 2022. At that time, David would have been 16 years old. According to alleged former Fortnite teammates, David would meet Celeste through Fortnite in 2021, when she was only. But by January the 4th, 2021, David had allegedly convinced Celeste to create a Discord account. By the following year, she would be invited to his private Discord server alongside his rapidly growing fan base. Messages over the next 4 years would suggest that David had entered a relationship with Celeste, and their relationship was treated as an open secret among David's inner circle. An uncovered video clip would allegedly capture David and Celeste playing Fortnite together.
Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff, good stuff.
No, you didn't kill him.
Dead, dead, dead.
How am I not getting any of these?
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
By early 2024, missing persons reports filed by Celeste's desperate family begin to align perfectly with the date she appeared in secret photos with the singer, and in the final month leading to her death, her last known digital footprint would show her streaming Fortnite directly from her mobile phone. Tragically, Celeste's life would reach a violent end in April 2025.
April 22nd, 2025. David and Celeste apparently fight. This is after what the brief says, that Celeste and David had taken trips to Vegas and Texas and London. And during this alleged fight, Celeste had threatened to disclose damaging information about David in the hopes of hurting his career.
With prosecutors alleging that David committed this murder to protect his profitable music career.
April 23rd, 2025, key date. That's when prosecutors claim that Celeste died. No more cell phone activity from her after that night. 8:40 p.m., the brief claims David Ubered her from her home in Lake Elsinore, miles and miles away, to his mansion in the Hollywood Hills. 10:10 p.m., he allegedly stabbed her multiple times, kills her. 20 minutes later, 10:30 p.m., he allegedly sends texts to her phone to cover his tracks.
But bringing the Fortnite connection to the darkest possible conclusion, the very same month David had apparently committed the murder, David's fame was reaching its peak when Fortnite officially teamed up with him to sell a locker bundle, a special collection of official David-branded digital items, including outfits and songs that players could buy to make their characters look like David and play his music during their matches. But even more chilling, apparently less than 12 hours after the alleged murder of Celeste, David took to Twitch, streaming himself playing Fortnite, the very game he had met his victim on, to tell the world about his new bundle that was available in the game.
Bro, I just want to say big shout out to Fortnite, bro. for giving me the locker bundle. I've been waiting for this for so long, bro.
Some months after this, before Celeste's body was found, on September the 3rd, 2025, David's song Locked and Loaded would be released on streaming platforms as well as YouTube, with the song becoming Fortnite's first ever official anthem for the 2025 Global Championships. But finally, when David was arrested 7 months later for the murder of Celeste in April 2026, Epic Games would respond to the legal charges, issuing a widespread refund for any of David's in-game content and completely removing his items from the in-game store. David is currently facing trial, and many people believe that the evidence has him completely cooked. But sadly, nothing can reverse the tragic loss of Celeste's life that sadly all begun with a game between strangers on Fortnite. Celeste's story exposed just how dark things can get when come into contact with adults with bad intentions on the game, but unfortunately, Celeste was far from the only that was being preyed upon on Fortnite. In October 2024, a 14-year-old girl in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, started talking to a 19-year-old named Zachary Vogt in Pennsylvania on Fortnite voice chat. The conversation sounded casual at first, however they would soon evolve into ultimately a real-world nightmare. When in June 2025, acting on a neighbor's tip, a terrified father alerted authorities that a stranger had been seen sneaking into his daughter's bedroom window.
Back, the neighbor knocked on the door, guy next door here, told me him and his wife had saw he described him as a scrawny white boy crawling in and out too.
Searching the perimeter, officers immediately discovered 19-year-old Zachary lurking just streets away from the residence.
Yeah, so we got a call. What's up over here? We got a call. We got to investigate. Okay, where you're essentially the suspect of this stuff going on. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any weapons or anything on you? Well, don't reach for it. Jesus.
I'm sorry.
While officers worked to get a statement from Zachary, the father recognized the name as a familiar threat because 8 months earlier, he had uncovered their online relationship and called Zachary's mother, locking down his daughter's phone to end communication between them.
Once I became aware of it, we put a kibosh on it. Went as far as I spoke with his mom about it because she was not aware. Did some backtracking through him on Facebook, found his aunt, then she directed me to her mom, to his mom. And as far as we knew, that was more or less the end of it.
Nevertheless, he had a gut feeling that the connection persisted through the game Fortnite, even though his frequent searches yielded no concrete evidence.
So, like on Fortnite, maybe finding a way to talk, but never had any evidence of it.
Okay. But what he didn't know at the time was that he was searching the wrong app, because apparently now, predators have turned ordinary Spotify playlists into tools by using playlist titles as a form of ghost messaging, listing email addresses, phone numbers, or usernames for outside apps like Snapchat, Discord, or Telegram. Custom playlist photos are apparently also being used as a loophole to link private contact information. Apparently using these methods, Zachary had built backup lines, hiding his behavior within everyday apps that most parents would never even think to search. So after doing all of this, he ultimately took a 25-hour train ride to Wisconsin to meet the victim, and when officers stopped him outside the house, he would claim that she was his best friend.
Literally my best friend. We met together.
So you came here
to visit her? Yeah, my best friend.
Never.
So how did you meet her?
We met through Fortnite.
And that he was just passing through, planning to travel the world.
Yeah, nothing illegal. I'm just chilling here. Nothing weird. I'm gonna go explore if y'all let me go. Not here, but I'm going guys, have you been all around the world?
I have not, no.
Have you? Do you know anywhere that's like you've been dying to go to?
Not really.
And he admitted to spending time with the girl just before the police were called.
Okay. So today was the first time you guys met in person? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. What time was that around, do you know?
Pretty much like, what time is it right now? I'm bad with time.
Like 8 o'clock?
Yeah, like 6, 7.
But when questioned if he had ever actually been inside the house, Zachary claimed he had only knocked on her window, describing himself as a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Did you go into her house at all?
Not really.
What do you mean not really?
I went to knock on the window.
Okay.
She climbed out the window.
Okay, and then you guys went somewhere else?
Yeah.
Okay.
I made sure she got home safe. Pretty much the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, as everybody says.
Throughout the initial conversation, Zachary apparently denied knowing the girl's true age.
Is she young?
Tell me.
Like I said, I don't know how old I was. I just came here. I explore. I leave. This is what I do. I come around here. I'll go around Chicago. I'll go back everywhere. I like exploring.
And then, once police noticed what looked like a hickey on Zachary's neck, he claimed that she was the one who him.
What's on your neck?
My neck?
Yeah. No, like the marks.
I don't know.
You don't know what that's
Might
from?
as well just be straight up, dude.
Where did that happen?
On the way to McDonald's.
Were you guys like stop somewhere? Were you guys like
Chill. She was like, this is a good spot to just chill. Yeah, chill.
But what officers discovered inside the home was far more disturbing than just a brief encounter. Apparently, Zachary had been living in the girl's closet for what investigators believe was almost a week.
Received permission to enter SF's bedroom, where Zach has apparently been hiding for the past week. In SF's room, they find a black machete, some of Zach's tank tops, his diploma, Xbox, and Blu-ray player.
Back at the station, the deception would continue. He would apparently refuse to hand over his phone and reveal he had a side hustle, catfishing men to send photos and subsequently blackmailing them.
Literally from, I'm sure I've seen a lot weirder stuff. Like, I'm not here to like judge like whatever you're into.
No,
you know
it's nothing I'm into. It's the stuff I was talking to you about. It's the
explain that to me a little bit.
You pretty much catfish men into giving you money. You've never tried that.
And I haven't personally, no.
You?
I can't say I have, no.
He would then provide multiple excuses denying his actions, claiming that the victim was not his type and that he wouldn't put himself at risk.
Damn, no.
I
can't, dude. Not if I first meet you. I can't trust you that much. Like, especially if there's no nothing. She ain't my type. She ain't my type. Maybe just for the fun. No, not even that. Just the fun. That's what this was. Just, that's fun.
I mean, I get it, man. If you're like making out with a girl, like.
No, dude,
you know what I
I'm
mean?
not trying to catch a random man. I can't trust that. See, kissing was scary enough. I ain't trying to do none of that.
But ultimately, the evidence on the victim's phone provided a very different story. And under pressure from investigators, Zachary would finally confess to the full extent of the...
We one time, just one time, and it wasn't even like anything serious.
You guys had that night?
Just bitch, but hour, but. And that's what I'm even more worried about.
You were.
No, but
State charges were initially considered, but the case was later moved to the federal level due to the interstate nature of the crime. Meanwhile, while Vogt was awaiting trial in 2025, Spotify introduced a highly controversial new DM feature. Specifically, the update left many Spotify users confused as to why a music streaming app even needed a direct messaging system, and watchdog groups worried that it would make it even easier for predators to communicate with victims. But eventually, Vogt pleaded guilty in federal court to the production of videos. In February 2026, a federal judge would sentence him to 15 years in prison, followed by 15 years of supervised release and a lifetime of offender registration. Ultimately, this case remains a chilling example of just how easily can bypass traditional parental monitoring by hiding inside everyday applications that families trust the most. While the United States grappled with the horrifying case of Zachary Vogt hiding in the closet for a week, over in Europe, they were about to be confronted with a Fortnite-related tragedy that would shock an entire nation. When flashlight beams cut through the dense Bois de Templiers woodland near the quiet Paris suburb of Épinay-sur-Arge, as police scoured the cold February night just after 2 a.m, they would discover the body of Louise LaSalle. She had vanished while walking home from school, and investigators were left piecing together how anyone could commit such a brutal act. Rewinding back to February the 7th, 2025, it began like any ordinary day. Around 1:50 p.m, Louise set off for home for what was meant to be a 10-minute walk, but she never made it home. Louise's parents would report her missing on the evening of Friday after she failed to return home from school. Soon after, an enormous search operation would be underway, with police officers, dogs, drones, and even helicopters combing through the nearby area, while classmates and family members desperately shared photos of Louise online, hoping that someone had seen her. But the most critical piece of evidence was CCTV footage that captured her at a pedestrian crossing on her way home. However, CCTV also showed a man in a black down jacket walking closely behind her. This would become one of the last confirmed sightings of Louise alive, because in the early hours of February the 8th, the police made a horrifying discovery. Her body lay in the Bois de Templiers, or Woods of the Templars, just near her home. When the autopsy was conducted, it was reportedly revealed she had been repeatedly with what investigators believed was a knife, and as news of the murder sent shockwaves through the community, parents walked their kids to school while investigators attempted to solve the case. And within 24 hours, the police would arrest a 23-year-old male and his 20-year-old partner. However, they were ultimately released as investigators failed to find any evidence linking them to the murder. But a couple days later, the police would also arrest another 23-year-old man and his 55-year-old mother after finding the man's identity card near the murder scene, but again, both would eventually be released without charges. But then a breakthrough came when male DNA was found on one of Louise's hands, suggesting that she had fought back against her attacker, and surveillance footage circulated showing a man following her before her disappearance. As investigators closed in on February the 10th, they located the suspect in her neighborhood, arresting a 23-year-old man along with his girlfriend and parents. When the suspect was identified as Owen Legrand, known online as Owen L., he eventually confessed after a long interrogation. As investigators learned more about him, the picture became increasingly disturbing. Owen lived with his parents in a work-study program and had been unemployed since December. He had been described as angry, introverted, and prone to violent outbursts. Moreover, he was already known to the police for several robbery-related charges, and his sister had filed a report years earlier after he attacked her. Furthermore, he was reportedly addicted to video games, and on the day of the murder, Owen L. had been playing a marathon session of Fortnite where he'd apparently lost a match. During the game, he had a heated online argument with another player who reportedly insulted him. Then, disturbingly, his idea of calming down involved going out to rob someone, and he unfortunately crossed paths with Louise, luring her in by claiming to have lost something and asking for help. When they reached an isolated area of the woods, he allegedly pulled out a knife and attempted to rob her, and when Louise began screaming, he panicked, pushed her down multiple times. As a chilling detail, her phone was reportedly still found beside her body, raising questions about whether robbery was ever the real motive. But then, after the murder, Owen returned home and began destroying evidence by bleaching his clothes and disposing of the weapon, and confessing to his girlfriend, who would be charged for failing to report the crime, and his parents were also later charged for being part of the cover-up. This case sparked massive debate in France regarding online gaming safety and the psychological impact of gaming-induced rage. And while in this case, the victim didn't meet their predator on Fortnite, it just goes to show you the types of vicious and dangerous individuals that are lurking online playing these games with your children. This is not a warning against technology or an effort to drag video games or Fortnite itself. Fortnite didn't create these problems, and even deleting the game from the App Store wouldn't erase the threat. Instead, it's just a chilling reminder of how powerful these online platforms are as a pipeline of connecting your innocent with some of the most dangerous men in the world. These online playgrounds that we trust to entertain our children have very creepy men lurking on the sidelines without a care for the consequences. These games exist to keep children entertained, and the children flock to them, and the know exactly where these are hanging out, and they're now using those very tools where they're having fun to harm those. The David case really opened my eyes to just how easy it is for a vulnerable and innocent to come into contact with a dangerous, rich, and powerful predator all through playing a game. So if you have kids that are playing Fortnite, I would suggest that you be very careful and keep a close eye on their movements and exactly who they're talking to, because on the other side of that headset might just lurk a real-life killer.